Religious Freedom Restoration Act says you can't do that. And so we have now filed this lawsuit on behalf of Judge Hensley, as well as any other justices of the peace or judges or state officials who officiate weddings and have a religious conviction against whatever it might be, to say that, look, certainly we can be fair and reasonable towards one another in the 21st century here. Judge Hensley has tried to reconcile her faith with the needs of her community, and for that she's been punished. Many justices of the peace or judges or other officials who have the ability to officiate weddings have simply stopped doing them altogether. She didn't feel that that was the right thing to do, and yet she's the one that has been punished, aside from those who have just simply decided to stop doing them altogether, which is their right to do, of course, as well. No judge should have their career ruined or otherwise impugned for simply abiding by their faith and trying to freely exercise that faith within the local community here. So with that background and information, I'm happy to take whatever questions you might have about the lawsuit or Judge Hensley's practice.
Question. When she was sanctioned by the Judicial Council here in Texas, was that a slap on the wrist, or was that the first step of something they might come back with more?
It certainly is it's a punishment by the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, and it's a lower level punishment, but Judge Hensley would like to continue to do this arrangement, and if she continues to do that arrangement, I think she can reasonably fear that that punishment will escalate and could get to be significantly worse. And no judge should be punished for accommodating anybody who wants to get married to be able to get married. No one has not been able to get married who's wanted to get married under her system here. Instead, the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, despite having no filed complaints and even acknowledging that in the hearing, took it upon themselves to punish Judge Hensley. Certainly we can have matters of disagreement on ideology and on any other thing that may be out there, but we've got to be able to be fair with one another and recognize there are ways to accommodate one another in this process. For her, that means accommodating her faith, and for her it also means accommodating those who wish to get married to be able to get married, and that's exactly what had happened. Unfortunately, she was punished for doing that very thing. I think you had a question, sir.
Now, since you cite your religion to refuse to perform same-sex weddings, do you also refuse to perform weddings for people who have been divorced in the past?
Well, that's not the issue here. Right now, the issue is whether or not she's able to do it by time or by religion or whatever it might be. Right now, she developed a really decent system that everybody liked. Nobody complained about. It reconciled her faith with the needs of her community, and for that, she was punished.
What would you say to people who say that it's not her job to accommodate, but to actually perform those weddings?
Well, she cannot be compelled to do what is against her religious beliefs, and that's the exact problem we have here today, is that the State Commission on Judicial Conduct would rather compel her to violate her religious convictions in order to comply with their standards, rather than accommodate as many weddings as she possibly can. It's either get out of the wedding business altogether for her, or get out of the wedding officiating business, I should say, or comply with what the State Commission on Judicial Conduct says that she should have to do. That's not right, and that's exactly our point. Under the state law of Texas, no government official can substantially burden the free exercise of any one of the citizens of this state. They've done that very thing. They have no compelling justification for doing so. No one complained about it. It worked out well. Everyone who wanted to get married was able to get married, and that was just fine with everybody that was here. Yes, ma'am. Are you with a news service?
No, I'm a citizen.
Thank you very much. Anybody in the press have a question?
Your lawsuit that you just filed, we know what the sanctions were. The lawsuit that you filed, what do you hope to accomplish for Judge Hensley in this lawsuit?
Well, our hope is that Judge Hensley will not receive any further discipline. She'd like to continue to do this referral system, of course, and that she shouldn't have to have that hanging over her head when she does so. But it's broader than that. We want to make sure that all justices of the peace, judges, anybody who is qualified or authorized to officiate weddings, if they have a religious conviction against performing certain weddings, that they be given that accommodation and not fear any punishment to come from the state. Yes, sir.
Why not just stop doing them altogether?
Well, she did that for a while, as a matter of fact.
Why
and
does she keep doing that?
Well, she did it for a while, as a matter of fact, and a lot of people are continuing to do that. But she felt that that was unfair to many people that would have to drive 20 miles away to West to have to find a justice of the peace who would perform the weddings, any weddings for that matter, or have to go somewhere else, or if they weren't a member of a church, would have no other alternative. And so she created a list of a lot of folks here in the area that would be able to accommodate what she wasn't able to accommodate due to either to her schedule or to her moral beliefs.
How can that not be discrimination?
Well, look, she's got the right to be able to voice her religious beliefs and to be able to live her life according to those beliefs. In fact, the Supreme Court of the United States acknowledged as much in their opinion in 2015 on the Obergefell opinion to say that people that have these religious convictions will be able to live life according to them. All we're asking, all that Judge Hensley is asking, is the opportunity to be afforded the same rights as anybody is, to be able to either live their life according to their faith or make accommodation for when those areas may overlap in disagreement. No one complained about that, and it all worked out well.
Now, if you said nobody's been complaining or nobody had complaints, how are we here at this point right now?
Because the State Commission on Judicial Conduct and took it upon themselves to investigate Judge Hensley for almost a year, a little over a year as a matter of fact, and then punish her for simply doing what no one had a problem with doing in the first place. Yes, sir.
Now, since you cite religion to refuse to perform same-sex weddings, how do you assert that the marriage ended because of sexual immorality?
You want to try that one more time? I didn't quite get the whole thing.
Now, since you cite religion to refuse to perform same-sex weddings, how do you ascertain that the marriage ended because of sexual immorality?
I'm not quite sure I understand the full question that you're asking on all that. I'm sorry about that, but I'll say this, that Judge Hensley has a religious belief about certain marriages, and certainly her participation in those marriages cannot be compelled by the state of Texas. And in this regard, the State Commission on Judicial Conduct has now punished her for employing a system that was allowing anybody who wanted to get married to be able to get married. No one complained about that system. It was only the State Commission on Judicial Conduct that took it upon themselves to punish Judge Hensley for allowing every same-sex couple who wanted to get married to be able to get married.
What would you say to the concerns that this might raise more concerns about her being impartial in the court of law?
Well, I mean, look, this is a wedding ceremony, and she has welcomed everybody and treats everybody fairly that walks into her courtroom in any regard. She is simply asking for the right to not be compelled to violate her religious convictions, the very thing that the state of Texas, through the Commission on Judicial Conduct, has gone outside the law to do. They have an obligation to recognize her right to not have her faith substantially burdened, her free exercise of her religion not to be substantially burdened by the action of the state. They went outside the law here, which is what one of our allegations is here, and they have no compelling justification for doing so.
So do you agree that she, because of this, she isn't impartial towards the LGBTQ community?
Judge Hensley has welcomed everybody into her courtroom and treats everyone fairly.
I was just simply going to ask, if by some way your lawsuit is thrown out, does the judge consider either stopping doing them, as Tommy was mentioning, or has the judge considered that morally and for her convictions that she might step down? Any of that ever?
Well, right now, Judge Hensley is performing no marriages at all while this litigation continues, and while the State Commission on Judicial Conduct was engaging in their investigation, she refrained from doing marriages as well. But she shouldn't have to do that. There's a way for us to be able to peacefully coexist. She has very dear friends within the gay community that say, look, we recognize that we have differences of opinion, but we can certainly understand and make accommodation for one another to be able to do so.
What would you say to Angel Waco who has made complaints?
I'm sorry, can you
What
hear?
would you say to Angel Waco who has made complaints before?
I am not aware of what those complaints would
Not
be,
to
so
the
I can't make a statement one way or another.
Can you comment about the handbook, Justice of the Peace handbook, basically signed off on by the Court of Criminal Appeals, saying either do them all or don't do them at all, and you don't have immunity from any type of lawsuit?
Yeah, that was certainly in the handbook, and it certainly has been discussed. And that's why I think a lot of justices of the peace have simply decided not to do any weddings whatsoever right now, or officiate any weddings whatsoever. The governor, as well as the Attorney General of Texas, have both come out to say that if there's a way to be able to balance these things, to reconcile one's faith with meeting the needs of the community as well, and that's perfectly acceptable and should be something that we'd be able to honor perfectly fine here. She did that and was punished for it.
Jeremy, could you just explain a little bit more about the organization that you represent?
Sure. First Liberty Institute is a nationwide religious liberty law firm. All we do is defend religious liberty, whether that's within the courthouse, whether that's within the schools, our military, the public square, or within our houses of worship. You can learn more about us at firstliberty.org, and I would encourage folks to go to firstliberty.org/Hensley to look more into this case as well as anything else we might have out there as well.
You had mentioned that this is one of the more minor admonitions from the Judicial Conduct Commission. What are her damages, basically?
Well, well, number one, she should not be punished whatsoever for simply abiding by her religious convictions. That's a concern at all. If any citizen in this country and in this state are punished for abiding by the religious convictions, I think we all should be very concerned about that very thing. But the reality is that if she were to continue to go about this referral system that had not met with any complaints at the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, then that could escalate even further into worse punishments beyond the public warning that she has received here. So.
Mr. Waco has been complaining, and she has turned down multiple LGBT couples. So please don't say that there were no complaints. We have been complaining since 2017.
Very good. Thank you. If there are no other questions from the press, I'm happy to step down and.
I'd like to ask what religion is the judge?
I'm Christian,
What church do you go to?
Highland,
Highland Baptist?
but I think of myself as generic more than Baptist.
Okay.
All right. Very good.
Can
Yes, sir.
Take us to one case recently.
Sure.
The shooting by the police officer of the unarmed black man in his own apartment in the Dallas area, and now, of course, she's been sentenced to 5 to 10 years, 5 minimum. The judge at that point approached her, handed her a Bible, hugged her, and my understanding was prayed with her. Did get admonished, but not legally. Does any of that link in here?
Well, beyond the fact that judges don't relinquish their religion when they put the black robe on, and they're certainly afforded the same protections that you and I are afforded under the law when it comes to the free exercise of religion, that would be the only nexus there as well. Folks, I really appreciate you all coming out. We're going to go ahead and end this here, but thank you very much for being here and covering this case for you.
Thank you. Good
Thanks
job.
a lot. Number 6. Who's number 6?
There you are, 25?
No. Well,
44. Very good.
All right, guys, appreciate it.
Slow down.